Season 1 of CW Flash has to be the most emotional season among all of CW Flash. They did an amazing job with Season 1, especially with, like, your superhero origin. You have, various things that build up the story. But frankly, Season 1 was so freaking emotional because it really showed the groundwork to what Barry Allen was going to be as a superhero. And now, for starters, we obviously know the normal stuff that Barry goes through his entire life. His mom was taken out by, the Reverse Flash. His father, was in prison for a crime that he didn't commit. And Barry spent his entire life desperately searching for answers to figure out what happened, how to prove his innocence, and how to prove his father's innocence, and all the above. And at the end of the day, this Season 1 was so freaking emotional for just these few little starting points. But this isn't it. That's not the only things that makes this season emotional. Yeah, don't get me wrong. The moments where we see Barry, talking to his father, maybe even, reminiscing and thinking about his mother and stuff along those lines, those are very emotional moments. But what about Dr. Wells? Yeah, the Wells Thawne twist was a pretty emotional one as well, because Thawne, Wells, was treating Barry like a protege, was treating Barry like, I don't want to take this with a grain of salt, but kind of like a son, treating Barry with all the respect, and just wanting Barry to quote unquote prosper. And he protected him, he trained him, he believed in him, and he understood him in a lot of ways that other people just couldn't. So when he learned that Wells was Eobard Thawne, or Wells was the Reverse Flash, this blew Barry's mind. And why wouldn't it, right? A situation like this would absolutely tear you to shreds. Somebody who's been working with you, someone who has been teaching you everything you know, is literally your worst enemy, is the person that created the worst part of your life to ever exist. Harrison Wells, somebody who actually created you, is also your worst enemy. And that right there is a mind-boggling thing to deal with, especially for someone like Barry Allen. I mean, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that mentally? How do you even accept that this guy was helping you, but also the biggest piece of garbage ever? Like, he was genuinely a piece of absolute trash. And he honestly, on top of that, he still thinks that he's doing right by you. This version of Eobard Thawne, he grows fond of Barry Allen, you could even say. And he admits this. He admits that he grows fond of Barry. He grows fond of him and looks at him in a high light and this and that. And even wants to give him the opportunity to save his mother. And these are the things that it's like, whoa, this is a weird moment. It's an emotional moment because you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on. You're trying to figure out, is he telling the truth? What is going through his head? Is he really, trying to lead Barry in the right direction? What's going on? Because this is a betrayal among all betrayals, and it's really the ultimate gut punch in terms of kind of what Barry has to deal with, and frankly, what's going on throughout the entirety of Season 1, because you get these glimpses of who Harrison Wells is. You get these glimpses of, what Eobard Thawne is, and what the Reverse Flash is, and you see these tiny little tidbits, and it really, really, really is not only interesting, but it's emotional for Barry and the team to know and to learn that someone they've looked up to, someone they put and treated and put the utmost respect in, is actually a super villain. And not only that, that's not the only thing that makes it so emotional, and this season so emotional. I mean, Team Flash feels like a genuine, real family, and they feel like a family that has gone through countless amounts of trauma and countless amounts of horrible, horrible things, and they are building each other up to be better people and to figure out what the heck is going to go on in the near future. I mean, we've seen Caitlin's backstory, Cisco's backstory. We've seen so many backstories and so many things that that make you so emotional. And the main one I want to talk about right now is Caitlin Snow's. I mean, Caitlin Snow's backstory is totally heart-wrenching. I mean, at the end of the day, she lost the love of her life. The love of her life to legitimately all of this whole scheme that is being created, and this scheme that was made by Eobard Thawne, or by the Reverse Flash, aka this version of Dr. Wells. Like, he created all of this, and Caitlin lost Ronnie. Caitlin lost that person. And imagine how gut-wrenching it is to feel, or all the feelings that she was having, even after all that was said and done, right? Because at the end of the day, she dealt with it, right? The loss of Ronnie, all that stuff, she dealt with it. But eventually, guess what? Eventually, it all came to a front, because she starts learning that Harrison Wells is not who he says he is, and he is the reason why the particle accelerator exploded, and he did it on purpose, aka ended her husband or future husband on purpose, the love of her life on purpose. And really, it's like a really, really emotional scene when you really think about it, or an emotional kind of like longevity in terms of the story, because Caitlin has gone through hell, and Barry helps her, build her back up, and helps her feel a lot better too. But imagine learning that your mentor is the worst person alive. That would throw anybody for a loop, literally anybody for a loop. And there's so many moments throughout season 1 that just make you so emotional. But there's one specific moment that I remember, and that is from, well, Barry's actual father, which that is something we'll talk about Joe West in a little bit. But Barry's actual father, and when he has the moment with him where he's telling Barry that if his son was the Flash, he would tell him how proud he is of him, and that he's doing an amazing job and doing this, but also to be careful, because, like, you know, he's worried about him, and he hopes that he doesn't get hurt, and all of these things, right? All these things are being said. And it's one of those things that's like, damn, that really hits. It makes you genuinely emotional hearing him say these things. And what about Joe West? Joe West was the heartbeat of this show, especially through the first few seasons, but mainly in season 1. I mean, telling Barry and acting like a father in a ton of moments is a true beautiful thing to watch. I mean, Joe says it to him as well. He worries about Iris, right? The whole idea of, we can't tell her, you know, you're the Flash, and all that stuff. But mainly it's showing that Joe West treats Barry Allen like a son, treats him like an utmost son. That is what he looks at him like, right? He's like, you are my son. You are my son. It doesn't matter that, you know, in technical sense, you are not my son by blood, but you are my son. You are my kid. And that right there is just a moment where you're like, whoa, this is emotion. This is true emotion, and this feels like something that would genuinely happen. Barry is risking his life day in and day out, and Joe West, he can't do anything about it. He doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't have super speed. He doesn't have super strength. He doesn't have anything. So he has to watch his kid, yes, somebody who he watched grow up as a man, right? Watched him, you know, figure out how to shave his face, figure out how to do man things throughout his entire life. He watches him do it, walk that path of manhood. So yeah, in his eyes, that is his son, that is his kid. So watching him speed around the city, save lives, and go through very dangerous things, of course Joe West is going to feel like genuinely terrified for his son, terrified for Barry Allen. And his father figure-esque kind of notion is an emotional anchor for Barry Allen, is an emotional anchor for Barry. And the Joe West moments, just in general, him and Barry, they're very wholesome, they're very emotional, and they're just overall so amazing. And I'm going to say this to the top of my lungs, that they not only did an amazing job in these emotional moments, but one thing I think about all the freaking time is that they could have continued these moments. They could have continued these emotional moments and these time frames and all of these things that were going on, that are like connecting these characters. They could have done it this way instead of unnecessary drama that we see later in various seasons. Season 1 loves to bring up this like drama situations, but without this like overarching like drama that isn't needed. There's drama that could happen that doesn't need these like weird kind of situations that some of these characters go through, from moment to moment. Like, I like using Linda Park as an example. Linda Park was a great girl, right? I loved her to death. I had the biggest crush on her ever, right? And we've talked about that before. But what she brought to Barry, right, was a different look at things, right? A different look at drama. And that right there was perfect for Barry, right? Because it was him understanding, figuring things out, and kind of just learning about his own life. And that was a lot of this season, was learning about what Barry truly is. What is he to his core? What kind of person, what kind of hero was Barry Allen going to be? So at the very end of it all, right, when the show, it's all like this season 1 was so balanced of hope and trauma really perfectly. You had this, high energy superhero action, but then you also had like this childlike like love and wonder from Barry Allen, but also these like deep unresolved trauma notions and the entirety, right, with mystery kind of slowly uncovering, and obviously a main villain being tied to it, being that of the Reverse Flash. It felt like it was capped off perfectly with the finale. What does he do? Save his mom, protect the timeline, give her that last goodbye, and say goodbye to his mother, the one that he's been basically obsessing his entire life about, trying to figure out how to save her, what happened to her, and anything he can possibly understand. I mean, what does he do? He has to make the biggest decision that he ever does, and that is say goodbye to his mother. Say goodbye to the one he loves, the one he wanted to come back and save in the first place, the one he didn't have throughout so much of his life, and the one that frankly lost both of his parents that day, right? Because he lost his mother via, kicking the bucket, Reverse Flash ending her, but he also lost his father because his father was trying to save her and nobody believed in the impossible. And that right there, the impossible, is what made season 1 of CW Flash not only so peak and amazing, but so damn emotional as well. So many moments, so many high stake kind of situations, and so many beautiful relationships, friendships, parent son type of relationships as well, that you will love and that I loved to its absolute highest degree. But I would love to hear what you guys have to say about season 1 of CW's Flash being so emotional. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think is the most emotional moment in CW Flash, even if it's outside of season 1 as well? I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And yeah, that's really all I got to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, make sure to leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And if you did enjoy this video, YouTube believes you'll enjoy this one, so might as well go check it out.